This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jambo Jambo and hello everybody. A warm welcome to our afternoon drive. We are in Kenya in the Tswalu Kalahari Game Reserve and we got a big male lion for you under that tree. My name is David. Welcome aboard to your very own safari live from the African bush. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. How lucky to start with a male lion. And this one particular male lion belongs to the coalition of what we call the Triangle Boys. Is under that tree there. It may be a little shaded now because it's rather hot where we are in the Tswalu Mara. I'm sure all of you know this face. My name is David. Nothing has changed. And with me on camera is Bungay. Bungay, good afternoon, sir. A rather warm afternoon, 27 degrees Celsius and 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember, you will request you to keep talking to us, send comments, or should you have any questions, you are more than welcome to do that. As you should tweet, hashtag World Earth. And let's keep watching. That's
Good afternoon, guys, and welcome. What another exciting afternoon. Just so this happened, these two lionesses from the Mugoro Pride made a kill at the hippopools in between Majandege and Mugoro Laga. The zebras were drinking and the lionesses were ambushed them while they were drinking, and you can see the zebra is still breathing. Yeah, they're dragging it. Unfortunately, they're gonna hide it, but this just happened in front of me. Unbelievable. Yeah. Good afternoon again, good people. My name is Isaac, and on camera is Big James. Welcome to the beautiful Tswalu Mara for another exciting afternoon action. Let's go back, and see what's happening back there. Yeah. Whoa. Unfortunately, they just pulled it behind there. They just made a kill. Unbelievable. Another wonderful afternoon. Not hot at all. These lionesses were hiding in the tall grass. I was driving past, and all of a sudden I saw some dust, turned the vehicle, and they were on the zebra. Didn't take very long. I think the zebra had lost its breath, and so killing it took no time. These lionesses plus the males have been making a killing. It's time of plenty, and so it's time to gorge themselves as much as possible. It's out of view, so what I'm gonna do is try and reposition. Hopefully if I drive over there I'll be able to see them, or maybe behind me here, and then we can have a better view. To my, in front of me over there, if James you can show us over there, that is part of the dazzle of zebra that were together with that zebra, and I'm sure they are very disappointed, very heartbroken, but I don't know, there's nothing they can do. Life has to go on. That little one, I'm sure he has an experience. Yeah, he's experienced trauma, and he's very lucky to be the youngest one and have survived. I don't know how many there were, the zebras, but you can tell there's a good number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So there were about 7 of them. Yeah, let me try and reposition and see if I can give you another view. This is an area I'm not are not allowed to go off-road. So it's called a high-use area. If we all go here, we'll wear out the grass and soil erosion will take place. So here we are actually not allowed to go off-road. So I have to stay on the road. It's like we might not be able to see them, from here. So I'm gonna turn and maybe try another angle back there. If not, we'll move on and maybe come back here in the morning or later and see if they're gonna come out.
We are enjoying this awesome afternoon out here in Djuma. Just a short drive from camp. There's a large herd of elephants all around. Isn't that just wonderful? A great way to start the afternoon. My name is Trishala and I have got BK on camera this warm 31 degrees Celsius, 88 degrees Fahrenheit day in Djuma Game Reserve. And you can see all the elephants here have swishing tails and their ears are flapping. They're relaxed. Very, very comfortable. And of course, quite warm, which is why they're flapping their ears to cool down. Lots of little ones in this herd. I see 3 already. And that was a little visitor PK was trying to show you there, but it's obscured by a lot of branches. Look at that little one. They're not too far from Gallagher Pan. So I think we might be lucky and catch them having a drink. Now our visitor is getting a little bit more active. In the distance you'd have also heard the snapping of a branch. Just love to sit and watch and listen to them. Look at this little one. Too cute when they lift up their heads. Oh, bless you. When you say baby elephants are just the best, they certainly are. They are so cute. They have these big eyes, well, big for an elephant, and cute little wrinkles. They look like such a take-home size. So manageable. But even the baby Eddie is very strong. Over 100 kgs when they're born. Around there. Taking it home would be a bit like a bull in a china shop kind of story. Apart from the fact that it's a wild animal and we should not ever take them home. I'm going to swing round to Gallagher Pan if I can get a chance to get through this roadblock. And if we do, hopefully we'll see them drinking.
We are surrounded here by elephants, and some of them are already having a little bit of a drink. They are digging in the sand here in the valley of the great Umlawamati drainage. My name is James Hendry. Hello. It is Sunday afternoon here in the eastern lowveld of South Africa. We've got Theodore Island style today on camera and a herd of elephants greeting us. There they are. This is not the best view of them because they haven't come out from behind the bushes yet. I think they're going to, and they're nice and relaxed, so we should be able to move around them quite nicely during the course of the afternoon. I'm sure everyone's told you how to get hold of us, so please do that with great enthusiasm as Sunday afternoon progresses. I have no plan today other than to sit and enjoy these elephants and then drive about and see what else nature has to offer. I'm just going to shift you forward very slightly because one of the elephants is digging in the sand in front of us. It's always quite nice to watch. A bit of digging. Do not stop digging. Please continue. Do not cease on our account. There we go. Yes, digging has now ceased. That's all right. Nice view of him. He's doing a bit of stretching, kicking. And then there's a much bigger cow feeding, 180 degrees from that one, Theo, if you want her. Enjoying the delightful rasping sensation of the black monkey thorn as it tears at the skin of her nose. Obviously it's not really tearing at her nose, it's just what it looks like it's doing. Oh, no, I tell you a lie. Not a black monkey thorn, a splendid thorn, or Vaccilia robusta. Not looking so robusta after the elephants had a go at it, I must say. It's been broken and chewed off.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a fantastic day out here at Tswalu Kalahari Reserve, and I always say that, and it's because it is always a fantastic day. Whether it's morning, afternoon drive, middle of the day, makes no difference. Could be middle of the night, it would still be fantastic. David, a big thank you to you for your camera work. We can't do these without guys like the guys behind the scenes, so good job there, my man. My name's Dylan, and it's wonderful having you with us. We're going to be doing just a very relaxed drive. I mean, I'm just hearing what the other guys are getting on their feeds, and I think they're going to be having some spectacular viewing this afternoon, so we're going to be quite relaxed. We're just going to amble through this simply gorgeous landscape and see what we can find, whether it's big, small, anything. And yeah, it's just good having you with. Please don't be shy. If you want to know something about the landscape, even if we're not necessarily looking at something at that particular point, feel free to send your questions through and I will do my absolute best to answer them. If I can't, I will ask David. He's really, really good with this kind of stuff, and I'm sure he'll have the answers as well. No, but on a serious note, just feel free really to engage with us, and between myself and our colleagues, whether it's in the Mara or Pinder or down in the Lowveld, we'll help you out. Megan says there's a wild Dylan in a tree. Let me tell you something funny about this tree. I was actually going to sit on a branch a little bit low down because this is about 500 meters from the vehicle. And we actually thought the tree was a lot bigger than it actually is. So when I climbed in, the branch didn't look quite as... we were a bit like squished up here. So I thought I'd rather just stand up. But it's absolutely beautiful out here. And it's good having you with us. So this is a shepherd's tree. Actually, this is we've spoken about them before. It's one of the most important trees in this environment. And as you can see, they even grow up on the hillsides.
I imagine that the shepherd's tree today, given the weather in the Kalahari, is probably the perfect place to be as it heads into spring. Now this little calf is suckling from Mum, and Mum is tossing sand over herself and the little baby as he attempts to have his milk meal. I don't know if that's something that just happens in their family, or if she's just not cognizant of the fact that he's trying to drink. I think that can't taste very nice, actually. Very sweet, isn't it? Little scene there of baby having a Sunday milkshake. Now also trying to throw sand. That's quite cute. Look. Trying to emulate Mum. Now he's got a bit of a wart on his trunk there, so that makes him quite easily recognizable. I don't know why he has a wart, or if it is a wart or just a callus, perhaps a little injury. Good afternoon, madam. Hope we're not causing any disturbance to you, given that we can't go anywhere if we are. Oh, here we go. You can hear them walking, you can hear them passing large bubbles of gas. Ian, I don't know how much pressure an elephant's foot puts on the ground, but I can tell you that it's less than you would think, because the... Oh, really? I always feel one shouldn't talk during a moment like this. It feels disrespectful. Finished? Well done. Ian, their feet spread out, so there's a big sort of cartilaginous pad at the bottom of the foot, and it spreads out quite a lot as soon as they put their feet down, but I don't know exactly what pressure is exerted there. Nice ripe smell coming this way on the southeast breeze from the fresh pile of dung and puddle of urine that has been deposited here in the valley of the Umluamati. And there's great big thorns just going into the mouth, all in this case being tucked between the incisor tooth and the nose. See how she's tucked that branch between her tusk and her trunk as she goes. Please excuse the antenna, I just can't move right now. Theo just manoeuvring himself around. That's hilarious. She's just kind of tucked it there and maybe is saving it for later. What a snack to carry around, eh? Now what alerted us to their presence was one of them yelling. I wondered if they hadn't perhaps come across Kalamba the leopardess, but I don't think so.
Well, elephant walking past my crocodile is just staying still, and I'm thinking she's getting the very best of vitamin D or sunning herself up before the sun sets down. I'm just on the bank of the Mara River. I mean, most of the places you'd expect to see a crocodile must have a water body of some sort. Next to her, you can see cattle egrets. And Bunge on camera today is just trying to justify what I said. We are just on the banks, on the bank of the Mara River. I also want to believe those cattle egrets there are also standing themselves up, having maybe spent a lot of time in the grass. We had some very big rain last night, and I'm sure as they're feeding today, they must have gotten themselves wet on their feathers, and what they need to do is to warm themselves up before they go and roost later in the day or tonight. We'll always see them come about 5, 6 o'clock, 7ish. Most of them will have roosted on particular trees that they call homes, and they are rather territorial when they settle on particular trees for the night. You can see they're a bit of preening their feathers a little bit and just putting them in shape, ready for the flight anytime they take off. With the migration currently in the Masai Mara, you'll see them, lots of them together with the wildebeest. As the wildebeest move in the grass, then they keep disturbing the grass. Any insects that will jump, this is what cattle egrets will feed on. You might hear a plane above my head. So the whole idea, you see that plane that I just said flew over my head, scared those egrets. I don't want them getting more scared. I also want to leave them and enjoy their sunning.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once more, I'm here by the river, and we have arrived at the beautiful Mara River. Already, I have a small herd of wildebeest gathering across the other side to cross to this side. That is the beautiful Mara River. Those are the shallow areas. That's why you see all the rapids. Yes, we are on the triangle. That is the Great Mara on the other side. There is no different in the grass, but every now and then, as you know, they will have to crisscross. Usually that's the behavior sometimes they portray. They will sit around like they're having a meeting or a discussion, or maybe a leader has to be born or chosen or decided not to be a leader, and then it will wake up and head towards the river. I can tell there's a little bit of ease, and also there's a little bit of ease, so everybody is very relaxed. But actually, we can tell a few are starting to wake up, so there is a bit of movement, and that's all we need to start the whole group to move towards the river. I'm quite a long ways. It's not the best of positions, but I'm hoping that I will be able to reposition and give you a good crossing if they do cross. Like I mentioned earlier on, this time of the year I'm seeing more and more hippos out of water. Reasons unknown to me, but like I said, very much like we do, maybe this time of the year the sun is not as bad for them, so they're spending more time outside. The river is slightly higher today than yesterday, and that's why you see more rapids. And if they do cross, I think drowning will be evident.
It's incredible, like looking at the river and the Mara and then comparing it to this dry waterhole where we are now. You can see this elephant is actually picking some, it looks like there's this creeper on the in this dry waterhole that he's carefully picking up with that trunk and then maneuvering into his mouth. It looks like a young male, just judging by the size of his overall size and the size of his tusk. So I'm Nikki here at Ambion in Ngala. I'm going to be a ranger for this afternoon, and with me on the camera is Ger. Just to head back to this elephant, it's so interesting just seeing there's a whole herd around us at the moment, slowly feeding And what's really interesting is with this waterhole that's dried up, you'll notice that even though there's no water here, there's still a bit of water under the ground, and so the trees here is a lot lusher and greener in comparison to most of the areas, and that's probably one of the reasons what attracted this whole herd of elephants. But this young male, as he was moving through, he just picked up the scent of this creeper. I can't really see what it is. It looks like a very flat plant that's growing in between the cracks of this dried waterhole, and that's what he's picking with his trunk and then putting into his mouth. Maybe there's a little bit of moisture in it that he's after. You can see right there a little bit of greenery that he's picking up. We'll even notice some of the holes, like as it was drying up and some of the animals moved across, it left these big dents in the ground. But he's so relaxed. And you'll even notice, look at, if you follow his tusk all the way up to between his eyes, do you notice the difference in color? It almost looks like it's a bit of a paler color with a little wash of brown, and that might be from earlier on he could have gone down to the water to drink, and maybe he had an itch around his head, or maybe he pushed a tree, and because of that he would have pushed that forehead against the branch of a tree, either rubbed up against it or maybe even pushed it, and that's why there's a bit of a lighter color.
Good afternoon and welcome to a very windy and beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Damon, and behind the camera this afternoon we've got Craig, and we're back in the open grasslands of the far south of the reserve. We're going to be heading to where we left that mother cheetah and her two youngsters this morning to see if we can't really catch up with them. But in the meantime, as we kind of came over the hill and started to drop down into the grassland, we've been greeted with this magnificent sight. Have a look at the size of that kudu bull. Just look at how thick his neck is and those spiral horns. He is such an impressive animal. Look how he's busy browsing on that little bush there. Have a look at his shoulders, everybody, and his neck and the muscle, the definition in his neck and in his shoulders. Just imagine how heavy those horns must be and how strong his neck must be to be able to hold his head up like that. Those beautiful, striking white markings down his side and on his face. Look at that white line between his eyes. Absolutely magnificent. Like I said, quite a windy afternoon, so I'm sure a lot of the animals will be starting to try and get out of the wind a little bit and head into some thickets. And we're just perched up on this hillside and looking around as we can see all different kinds of herbivorous animals. And just off to the left we've just spotted a rhino, and that is very exciting. I think that's where we're going to go next. So we're going to try and get a better view of that rhino. When you come back to us, hopefully we'll have a nicer view for you.
We are having the most wonderful time with our elephants here. They have found themselves some water in the base of this riverbed, and they are head planting in it, lying in it, spraying it, digging it out, spraying it at each other, and having an all-round good time. I don't think much of it's being drunk, because it all looks pretty dirty, but they're having a lovely time. One of them dug a hole, and then another one lay down in it. Now, this youngster might take advantage of the biggest hole they've dug. There we go. I'm not sure how good that is. I mean, the water can be very clean, but it looked pretty muddy when it's been thrown about. Here you see. Not that tasty. Shame. Now, I can't help but think that what's going on here is purely for fun. There seems to be some lying down, head-butting the sand, and generally purposeless activity. No one's drinking very much. No one's making a huge effort to cool themselves with the water. No one is making a huge effort to cover themselves in mud to get rid of ectoparasites. And so if you were to come across a scene like this normally on a game drive, you would probably waffle about how elephants use mud and sand and water to get rid of parasites and stay cool. I think what's going on here is just a bit of fun. They're sick of eating, and they're just going to have a little bit of a muck around this little water hole. This elephant is doing nothing useful. It's just having fun. Kirsten in the final control says, no, it's watering the plants. Well, you might have a point there. It's very sweet regardless. I think it is too dirty to drink, Gremlins General, but that doesn't mean that this elephant is not just doing this for fun. There we go. A little bit of a taste of it. You know, it could easily just be digging and then spraying it out, but instead it's wafting its trunk around, spraying a bit on the foot, spraying the plants in front, taking a sip now and then. My point being that we often, I think, try to explain animal behavior in terms of what is the purpose, what is the naturally selective advantage for whatever behavior we're looking at. And I think sometimes they're just doing stuff like we do. We might die shortly. Don't worry, Thea, that was a joke. I don't think we're going to die. The two youngsters who have decided that they're going to investigate us. One a bull and one a cow. Ah, teenage love. Except I think the teenage female might be pregnant. Now they're listening carefully, clearly thinking about what to do next. I think it's because the big cow behind them is talking to them.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinder. Myself and Craig have managed to catch up with this white rhino. Just standing here on the road. Looks like he's just stopped for a moment. Look at how his ears are swiveling. Listening to his surroundings. Have a look at that face, everybody. Look at that. Obviously he's dehorned, but have a look at those horns and how wide they are at the base. And because rhino bulls will use their horns for fighting, they need to be very robust. And that's one of the ways we can tell male and female rhinos apart from a distance, is often the bulls will have thicker horns and the females longer, thinner horns, because they just need their horns for self-defense and defense of their calves. So probably a bull, just looking at how wide that horn base is, and also looking at the fact that he's by himself. And remember when we saw him earlier, how he was walking with his head down, not feeding, just walking quickly, more than likely on his territorial patrol. Such a prehistoric looking creature. And so nice to get a relatively close-up view of its face. So often we find these white rhinos with their heads buried in the grass, busy grazing. So nice to get one out in the open like this. Look at all the marks and the scratches on his body from where he's been brushing through thorn bushes. Look at those big nostrils and that very square mouth. Another identifying feature of this white rhino. Talking earlier about how windy it is here, I'm sure you can hear the wind blowing through the microphone. Umesh, you're asking how we would tell the age of a rhino. Umesh, there's quite a couple of things we can use. So the actual physical size of the rhino, of course, is the first thing. But then also looking at how developed the horns are, that helps us to age them. So mainly the size of the rhino, and then how developed the horns are. When a little rhino calf is born, it doesn't have any horns, it just kind of has the horn base, the horn bed, and then as they get older they start to grow. First the front horn, and then normally by about 2 years that second horn is quite noticeable. Look how he's now dropped his head, almost like he's just taking a bit of time out. I was saying earlier, the wind blowing quite strongly here at Anbionpinda today. And I wonder if he's not maybe just taking some time out just to take in his surroundings, to listen and to smell. The wind will be blowing scents all over the place and will be masking sounds as well. So important for animals to take a bit of time to listen. Anupa, you're asking if dehorning the rhinos reduces their ability to fight. So Anupa, I suppose your question has got two kind of sides to it. One, fighting against other rhinos, and two, fighting against predators. So in terms of fighting against each other, if all the rhinos on the reserve are dehorned, then none of them will have an unfair advantage over the other. And we've seen rhino bulls like this one that have been dehorned fighting against other white rhino bulls that have also been dehorned, and the behavior is much the same. So it doesn't appear to, well, it doesn't affect them in terms of their ability to fight off other rhinos. And then in terms of keeping predators away, because of how abundant the general game, so to speak, are here at Anbionpinda, there's lots of zebras. In fact, if we look just behind this rhino, there's quite a big herd of zebra, and there's lots of warthogs and wildebeests and giraffes and inyalas. So plenty of much easier prey for big predators like lions to go and try and hunt. And so it's very seldom that lions will try to hunt rhinos because of how big they are, how much energy it will take. And then, I mean, just the general size of an adult rhino is normally enough to keep a lion or a clan of hyenas or pride of lions away. So Anupa, no, we haven't noticed any ill effects of the dehorning on the rhinos here. But what a lovely start to our afternoon. I think myself and Craig are going to leave this rhino. We've just spotted a herd of buffalo off in the distance. We're going to go see if we can catch up with them.
Part of me also doesn't want to go, because I've just seen so much bad practice that I'm not interested in sitting with fucking vehicles in front of a wildebeest while they're trying to cross a fucking river, and multiple vehicle tracks all over, and I'm not interested.
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. It appears we're having a bit of technical issues. Of course, being out here in the African bush, we can never completely control what happens in terms of our technology, and that's part of the challenge, but part of the fun too. So luckily we haven't gone too far from this rhino. We can enjoy his magnificence for a bit longer, and also the view behind him. Look at how pretty that is. You might notice the ground is a little bit dark there. There's been a bit of a fire that's come through here, and with the coming of spring and hopefully some rains, all of that blackened earth there will no doubt produce some lovely green shoots with fresh grass pushing through that will produce fantastic grazing for these zebras and this white rhino alike. What a magnificent scene that is, the mountains in the background and this rhino. It's so nice to have him standing still for a second. Very often with rhino bulls, territorial rhino bulls, because of the fact that they've got to cover their territory and scent mark and look for females and chase away other bulls, they walk around a lot. And many a ranger, many a tracker has learnt the hard way that trying to track one when he's on his territorial patrol can become a serious mission, trying to keep up with them as they walk. Alright, like I said earlier, we're going to leave this rhino to continue with his territorial patrol, and we're going to go try and get a look at those buffalo in the distance.
Welcome back, and waiting is the game. Typical of a crossing, they arrive, and like I've been saying before, they have a mind of their own. Decision has to be made. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes half an hour, sometimes 1 minute, sometimes it never happens. But who am I to say anything? I am waiting. I'm hoping they're going to cross. It is dangerous for the wildebeest, so you have to, bear with them. They know that they have lost some of their relatives, maybe calves, maybe mothers, and so as you know, experience is the best teacher. They know when they arrive here they have to tread cautiously. They have to look. They don't know who's lurking behind that bank. They don't know how many crocodiles are in the water. As you can tell, they're staring, knowing that it is not easy. It's not just a walk in the park, so they have to be very careful. And waiting is a game, as I said here. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but it definitely looks like they're all getting tense. Everybody wants to go. They were lying down before, now they're up. Hopefully it won't take long, but these are the kind of situations we face here when we come at the crossing. I've sat in the crossing before for over 6 hours and it never happened. So it's very hard to predict what's gonna happen. Usually you just arrive and hope that you're lucky, it's your lucky afternoon or morning, and then they cross. This is what is lacking in the water. Yep. Love our guide. Why do they call it the Mara Triangle? It does form a sort of a triangle. I have a map here that I'm going to share with you, and you're going to see the triangle, the way it forms. I don't know if you're gonna Big James, I don't know if you're able to zoom in here, then I can share with you the map. Here I'm going to show you the whole of the Masai Mara. This is the whole Masai Mara over here with green like that all the way. This is the whole Mara. Over here is the Serengeti. If you look here, the river crosses along the Mara. This forms a sort of triangle. That's why it's called the Mara Triangle. Love our guide. I hope you've seen that. That's why it's called the Mara Triangle. It's part of the Greater Mara, but it's much smaller and managed by a private company called Mara Conservancy. Back to our wildebeest. They're still in the same spot, and as you can see there, they're still looking at the river. Like I said, there's many dangers. Some of them have escaped with injuries. Some of them have lost, some of their relatives. You can see why it's called the white-bearded gnu. Do you see the white beard? Yes, that is the white-bearded gnu. One of the most successful grazer in Eastern Africa, amounting to around 1.5 million during the migration. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Some of them are starting to lie down now. It looks restless. They're not sure what time they want to cross. They never cross at night, but they do cross very early in the morning and very late in the evening. I have wondered if they ever crossed on a bright moon night, but I don't know. I've never had anybody tell me they cross. Yeah, we were going to show you a crocodile so that they are here. There it is. If you didn't know what to look for, just look at that. He's bloated. He's been eating well. Yeah, this time of the year, remember, they eat as much as they can, going up to 1 year without feeding. They are able to slow their metabolism, reducing the heartbeats up to or around 1 heartbeat a minute. That digesting whatever they've eaten slowly, giving them a year of survival. Mind you, in between, if they come across something like a fish, a Thompson's gazelle, they will feed on it. Also, amongst the wildebeest back there, you see this, we have some cattle egrets. They also, I think, they have had their fill. Yeah, I think this is an area when the wildebeest rub their bodies, ticks drop and they feed on them, and looks like they've been feeding very well. So they right now they're just digesting. Let me continue waiting here. Hopefully, they will cross and I'll be able to share it with you.
We are just having the most peaceful, wonderful, entertaining time with this elephant herd. Most of them have moved off to have a feed. 2 of them have had more digging practice. The little one got shoved out the way there and then sprayed angrily by what I assume to be its mother. She is lactating heavily, although that little one looks a little bit old to be suckling. So maybe they are just cousins, or even siblings. But they've been face planting in there, spraying water, digging, and any angst that there was seems to have dissipated. Only problem with the sighting is that they refuse to do it facing us, which, I don't know, leaves me feeling slightly insulted every time one of them bends over like that. I know that's an entirely human perspective. Well, there is some serious elephant bum on display here, which apparently many of you are enjoying. Well, that's good. Very good, Theo. Theo has found the elephant bums. Well done. Oh, a little woodland kingfisher, not woodland, brown-hooded kingfisher flew past their heads. Probably grabbed some poor little insect that alighted from the sand. Now dead. Not a good Sunday for him. That elephant is in imminent danger of falling into that hole permanently. Not really, but it's up to its elbows. And there's still very little drinking going on. Especially as the little one is now having a pee into the water source. It's not entirely unusual either. In fact, it's very common. The rest of the herd has wandered off towards the right-hand side of your screen. and they're just feeding. I suspect that they will pitch up at the waterhole in front of camp, so at the dam cam, sometime in the next hour or so. Gosh, so 50, any other land mammals that find water sources in holes? You mean that dig for water? Other than human beings, you mean? I don't know. I'm sure there must be. I mean, I would imagine that our primate cousins would have figured out how to find water, but the ones that are most closely related to us live in extremely wet areas, so the necessity to dig for water probably doesn't exist. I don't know if baboons do it. They might. Baboons might dig for water sometimes. I certainly think a baboon would drink out of that hole if they came across it. But I don't know for certain of any others. It's an interesting question. It does seem to be a speciality of the elephants, though. And that's because they do prefer clean water to muddy water, and if they can get clean water, then they'll take it. Unlike something like a leopard or a lion, which will happily drink the most foul, rancid, eutrophic algae and rot-infested water. It doesn't seem to have any effect on them whatsoever. These chaps have slightly more sophisticated palates. Can you hear the tail going? We'll sit here just a little bit longer with them.
Yeah, James, stay with those elephants. Not sure whether anybody was able to count how many elephants James has there right now, because I want to give you a bit of an exercise, and you count for me all the wildebeest that Bungay, who is on camera today, is going to show you. In the meantime, some of you would be listening to their calls, and you tell me whether their calls are anything musical or not really very well coordinated. We are debating here a little bit with Bungay whether, he would like to be a zebra or a wildebeest. And I'm telling him that ideally you rarely hear, zebras making any calls when they're traveling together with the wildebeest. We hear more the wildebeest than the zebras, as much as they migrate together. You say those sounds are amazing. I want to agree with you. I mean, because I told Bungay myself, I would want to be a wildebeest, because I think it's not about and there's perfectly nothing wrong with that. But the zebras are always quiet, and they just walk in the midst of the wildebeest. And I hope you're still counting how many we got. Remember I was talking about cattle egrets earlier. You see those the birds flying there, the white ones, and they take advantage of the arrival of these big herds. When they just weave through the grass, they feed or they get lots of insects. They benefit a lot from all the insects that will keep jumping up and down. The job is just only to catch them. Andy, you counted 14. Okay, what I want you to do, Andy, keep 14 as your number. Let's see how many other figures you are going to get from the other viewers, and then you're going to get an average, Andy, and you're going to agree total number of the wildebeest you see. This is what you have on the screen, and I'm sure Bungei is going to pan further, and you might have to change your mind, Andy. Let's see. I think up to now we have done about 100 plus. So what we need to do, my thinking is, we got lots of them, and I just parked here because this is more of a vantage point, quite raised part of the road, for us just to have that huge span. And apart from showing you this, even me personally, I just enjoy to look at this. That's all the expanse of the Mara Savannah, and they just look like ants all over, wherever you look. Just look at that. Pretty warm as it is now. Tarzan, you'd like to know why the wildebeest are calling so much. I have found out of experience that the moment they settle down and they're quiet, they don't do lots of calling. But the moment the temperatures get down, or the moment the lead female or the lead male or the herd, because among us and they have small tribes, the moment they make the decision to move, that's when the calling starts. So it's all communication, and we have found out when the calling gets bigger, gets heavier, gets more, that's when they start to move. That's the only reason I've found out. They only move when they start calling. Before calling, they tend to remain in the same area, either resting or feeding. Let's listen to them again, Tarzan. Andy, I think you agree with me now, they are not 14.
Welcome back to Beyond Pinda. We were making our way towards where we could see that big herd of buffalo, and along the way we've managed to find this group of whiteback vultures busy preening themselves. And we're very close to that waterhole. Those of you who were watching this morning, we saw that lioness with those two little cubs walking past that little pan of water. This is exactly where we are now, and I think that these vultures have probably been bathing in that waterhole, and they're now busy preening themselves, cleaning their feathers, and letting this wind dry them off before they take to the air once more. And these vultures would have spent the day soaring out over the grassy plains here in search of any carcasses. Remember earlier with that cheetah and her impala kill, we said that there were some vultures circling overhead. I wonder if that cheetah didn't maybe move off. Maybe these vultures got to feed on that carcass and then headed over to this pan of water to wash their feathers after a messy meal. Quite meticulous with their preening. Look at how they keep reaching back into their feathers. Look at the one on the far right, how it's busy grooming the feathers on its wing there, using its bill. And that one in the middle, lying down and resting. A very open kind of patch of land that they're on. Have a look around them. See, there's not too many bushes. Nice and open for them so that they can spot any potential threats coming and then take off quickly if they need to. And have a look at how they're all facing towards the left, everybody. That's the direction the wind is coming from. So if they do need to take off, they can take off pretty quickly. Paul, you're asking if vultures ever eat small bones. This kind of vulture, Paul, this whiteback vulture, That's not a normal thing for a whiteback vulture to eat. They normally just feed on flesh. But there is a particular species of vulture, and I'd like to show it to you in the bird book, just because of how special it is. I'm just going to get the bird book open, but there's a kind of vulture that specializes in eating bones. It's called a bearded vulture. I'm just going to get it pulled up in the bird book for you. Here it is here. So there is the bearded vulture. It's not a bird we get here. It is found kind of only in the very high mountains. In southern Africa, only really in the Drakensberg Mountains and into Lesotho. But there we go. So yeah, they'll feed on bones. They'll pick up bones that have been left at a carcass, and they'll fly up high into the air and then drop the bone onto a big rock. And they'll then feed on the marrow. Sometimes they'll even swallow whole bones, and even surprisingly large bones. Oh, look here. Here's a picture of a juvenile busy carrying a bone. See how it's using its talons, its toes, to carry the bone, and it will then fly with that bone and drop it onto a rock. Yeah, it's a very specialized diet that these vultures have, and just imagine how strong those stomach acids must be to be able to digest that bone. Incredibly powerful. Right, that herd of buffalo, it seems, is over that hill and moving slowly in the direction of where this waterhole is. But I think myself and Craig are rather going to move out and see if we can't go and find that mother cheetah and her two youngsters again. I think it'll be really nice to catch up with them and see what they've gotten up to for the afternoon. So we're going to leave these vultures to continue with their sunbathing and their drying off of their feathers, and let's make our way in the direction of where that female cheetah and her two youngsters were.
This afternoon, one of the animals that we are hoping to see is possibly a leopard. Now, there's some good news. On this particular section here, we managed to find tracks of what looks like a female leopard. Now, it is really hard to see, so I have just drawn a circle around the track just to point it out. Now, if you look here, you might just notice it looks like there's some pads here in the back, and of course, like right here in front, you might notice some toes. Now, just to show you, this is more or less how a leopard track will look like. Now, often depending on the type of swirl where we find the leopard track, the shape might be a little bit different, or the imprint, but normally this is what you look out for. So with the leopard, they have 3 lobes at the back. So if you look here, there's 1, 2, 3, and right in front, 4 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So often just those 4 toes, you'll notice that in the ground, and at the back, you'll notice the 3 lobes. Now, often with leopard, if you had to find a big male leopard and a young lion, it could be very confusing. But often with leopard, how I remember it is it looks like the track is quite perfect. It's very well rounded, especially where the toes are. Now, these tracks are heading down in this direction, but there's also some tracks right over here. So I could just imagine this female like moving down this road, and because they're so territorial, she probably turned around and sprayed her urine against this tree here, almost letting all the other females know that this is her area, but also telling the males that she is, or the male of this area, that she is in the area as we speak. So there are some tracks here. They are heading down in that direction. It might have been from last night. So what we'll do from here is maybe we'll do a loop around onto this road, maybe cross into the river, and hopefully we find this leopard. So let's give it a go.
Susan, you mentioned something about Susan, I'm glad that we were able to look at that track together and have a look. Imagine now if we can find the female that made that track. How amazing would that be? And also the other thing about leopards, what makes them a bit different in comparison to the lions is often lions are seen quite a few lions in an area, or they normally form a pride unless of course there's a young male that's been kicked away, or maybe some young females that have moved away from the rest of the pride. But with leopards, they sometimes by themselves, unless there's a female of course with young cubs, or maybe even a female that's going into estrus, and there's a male joining up in the area. Now, leopards normally occur in quite dense areas. Imagine, like if you look at this area around us here, there's a lot of cover. There's often impala, could be kudu, nyala, bushbuck in this area, and that's most likely what you could be looking out for. Mainly impala because they're small, and also like based on those tracks, I think this female's not too big, so she'll probably be looking at the medium to small size prey, what she'll be after.
Good news to hear about leopards, and we haven't seen any leopards. Not that we do not have them in the Mara where we are, but we have been seeing more of lions than anything else when we talk of the cats. Now, when the migration gets to the Mara where we are, or when the migration is on, which goes around all around the year, not all wildebeest make it. Some will die of natural causes, some will, die of diseases, but quite a good chunk or quite a good number of them are brought down by predators. Now, these scavengers here, I'm talking of the vultures and the marabou storks, are trying to finish what could have been brought down earlier, either by lions. This is an African white-backed vulture, and you can tell the lions could have taken advantage of this drainage line to lay ambush to the wildebeest as they try to come down. Looking at the size of the horns, you can tell most likely she was a young one, because the horns are pretty small, and most cats are very clever. They will know what to target. Pregnant females, the old ones, the youngsters which are not very experienced when it comes to taking off away from predators. So I'd want to believe the lions were hiding here. Well, good luck, vultures, and bon appetit as I move on.
What a surprise to start our afternoon off with an elephant here at Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy. He's having a good old rub and a scratch, which seems to be the theme of the elephants over the past 24 hours. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And like I said, we are here in, I suppose, the Greater Baluli Conservancy with all the wonderful animals. But the only wonderful animal we've found so far is this elephant. And we were actually with him right at the beginning of game drive. He was at Ndlovu Dam in front of the Eco Training camp, and he was quite curious. He came up to the car a few times, and then he went back into the water about 4 times. So now I'm happy to see that he's finally decided to step on out of it. But we will go down to the water to just triple check to see if there are any more animals that have come down for a drink, because it's been super hot. It is starting to cool down already though, and maybe we'll get lucky and see some swimming action. But I think that's it for that elephant, I'm afraid, as he disappears off into the distance. So we'll leave him to it. Fortunately, there's no more roads to follow him, so we'll just keep heading on down this way. There's a hornbill though. I suppose we'll just take what we can get this afternoon, seeing as though it's a little bit on the quiet side. We're quite spoiled this morning. You can just hear him. A yellow-billed hornbill, of course. Doesn't look very impressed. He's just chatting away at the moment. What's bothered you? Where's your mate? This looks like a male. Oh, off he goes. It's always quite difficult to tell the difference between male and female unless they're sitting right next to one another, but he had quite a broad beak. Elephants! Lots of elephants, in fact. Okay, I've just got to drive about 150 meters now. I know that the signal can be a little bit on the side here, but bear with me. It'll be worth it. I can promise you that. Oops, that was a small branch. That was an array of elephants. Oh, swimming elephants. Many swimming elephants. So what we'll do is we'll just sneak on around. It's my boss in front, Anton. Hi, giant one. I wonder if he's watching. Let's see. We'll just sneak on here and on the inside. But how incredible that they are here. I wonder if it's the same breeding herd that we had this morning, or if it is maybe another herd of elephants. But there we can see that they're right down in the water. Let's hope that you still have my signal. Kirsty, who is directing today. Wonderful. Fantastic. I was just quickly getting reassured there. Oh, and that little elephant just try to, I suppose, jump and dive into the water. It is the Alicia Keys breeding herd of elephants that have come back for round 2. So they didn't go very far. I was actually looking for them. And I think that they must have just stayed in the drainage line right next to camp and had a bit of a siesta and fed on some of those plants. And Sebastian, you called it this morning, by the way. You said definitely going to be a second swimming session, and that's exactly what's taking place. Hopefully the students didn't even go out. Hopefully they're just sitting in the distance watching quietly. Oh, there's a little elephant in amongst those two having a tussle. Careful. I just saw a small trunk pop out. He's right in the thick of it. Lindy, I think the world is in favor with you in saying that it's something to just watch elephants all day. Yes, there we go. Up we get. And now we'll climb onto your shoulders and then jump off and do a backflip. No, that's not what's going to happen. Better luck next time. Yeah, there is something quite special about watching these animals. We've sat quite a distance away. I might see if we can get a better position in a little bit, because they are dust bathing quite nicely. But we'll do that in a minute. My favorite is actually the Egyptian geese, because of all the waves that the elephants are creating just to the left. Look how they're bobbing up and down. There were some big waves coming at them just now. I think that they're quite perturbed because they don't really want to be in the water while the elephants are swimming, but the edge of the water was surrounded. Now they're happy they can go back off and get away from the big grey giants. Oh, this is so lovely. It's also cool to see, though, how deep it still is. And we were chatting about these sort of deep areas that the elephants have created over time. But that pool is drying up. Maybe a couple more weeks that they'll be able to do swimming sessions here. And then they might have to move towards Leopard Dam, which has got a little bit more water than this. But the weather is changing. The wind is picking up. There's been a berg wind for most of the day, and I think we're in for a bit of a cold spell. Not for long though, luckily. Tomorrow's only going to be about 19 degrees in this area. That's freezing for us, especially once you've gone from 30-something degrees Celsius. Sammy, luckily there is no alligators here in Africa, so they cannot bother the elephants. But we have crocodiles here in Africa, but there aren't any crocodiles in this dam. There might be some small ones, but there's definitely no big ones, because what crocodiles like to do is come out of the water and bask in the sun, especially when it's a bit chilly in winter. And I can say 100% I've never seen any evidence of a crocodile here. Maybe it's just a bit too busy. I'd be quite annoyed, actually, to be a crocodile in this dam with the amount of elephants that come swimming through and the big herds of buffalo, especially that little one over there. You wouldn't get any peace and quiet. So, it's very deep there. There's another big hole. But as we have seen, as all the water sources start to dry out again, it's not unusual for crocodiles to move distances. The same thing goes with hippos. And I remember a couple of years ago, on bushwalks at Djuma, we at one point were seeing, a couple of, or maybe it was just one individual crocodile, but moving very, very far distances and just sort of sheltering itself under the trees. Yes, little elephant, you're very scary. You look like you've been dipped in gold now. So shiny. Off you go. You're going to fall though. Yeah, careful. I mean, have you ever seen such a happy elephant as chasing the blacksmith lapwing? I'd be careful if I were you. Those blacksmith lapwing didn't want to move out of the way. That's the lecture tent for the eco training camp that you just saw. A bit nervous, a bit far away from mom now, feeling much safer in and amongst the herd that's dust bathing. See, there are the showers. That's my favorite part. So just above the elephants on the right, you can see some canvas. I really wish there was somebody in there and they could just wave. That would be very funny. But we have these awesome outdoor showers, so you can see the stars. Winter, it gets a little bit chilly, but luckily the waters can get piping hot, which is good. But on an afternoon like today, it's really nice to just have a cold shower and look above you. So maybe one day you'll have a little trunk creeping over the top. That would be quite funny. I'm sad that that elephant is finished playing with the blacksmith lapwing. I always think it's quite nice when other animals chase blacksmith lapwings around because they cause so much havoc. There's a little bull in amongst the big boys. Oh, that one's just also, I love watching them and seeing their different personalities and just seeing how some want to completely submerge themselves and others, they don't really want to get much of their body wet or covered in mud. I, however, would be the elephant on the right. I'd be completely filthy. Oh. I believe there's quite a heated debate going on the various social media platforms about whether outdoor showers are hot or not. I think they're quite cool. It's one of my favorite actually to do it in Zambia. But let me tell you, if you have a shower and the temperature is perfect outside, it's not too cold, and you get to see the Milky Way, it's something like quite special, and I encourage it. Really, really lucky to see that. Digging up all the mud quite nicely. I love that you could see the Egyptian geese between the elephant's legs there. Flap, flap. There's always two that are pushing and shoving one another around, aren't there? Alright, get on in the water. There's obviously going to be some wrestling now. I really want to give an elephant a pool noodle. I think they would have so much fun with it. Also, Sebastian, how do you think these elephants would feel if I just floated on past in my unicorn Lilo?
With a cocktail.
Yeah, I mean... Yes, I would probably get chased around by the elephants. Oh, that elephant, the big elephant just slipped. Look at him. On the left, the big one that we were just watching, he just...
Is that what I heard?
Yeah, that sound, it sounded like it was quite funny. I think he lost his footing and almost did the splits, and I don't think it would be very comfortable for an elephant to do the splits. Oh my goodness. Are you okay, big boy? Yes, we all saw that. He's trying to shrug it off. If you're not careful, you're going to slip and slide again. Oh, wait, there he goes. I'm going to go back in the water, it's safer. And we were just talking about elephants slipping on the sunrise safari too. Sure, that was a big one. Hey, I actually almost thought he was going to go all the way over onto his side at one point. Oh, well, this has just been a magical moment. Basking in the sun, watching elephants swim, and now we're about to see the Egyptian goose fly off because you get chased by an elephant.
Welcome back, good people. The wildebeest left the river, then they came, and now they are leaving again. They are still discussing, they are still gathering their courage. Remember, they know it is dangerous. Still, I have no guarantees, but the love to cross is there with this wildebeest. You can tell they're looking and saying, oh, I wish I could get across. That grass looks nice across there. And they're still trying to discuss, who's gonna go fast. No, I lost my friend last year. I'm not going fast. Oh, remember? They grabbed my leg and I escaped. I'm not going fast. You go fast. Yeah, so everybody is thinking, I'm not gonna go fast, but the urge to cross is very, very strong. Inching in slowly by slowly, one step at a time. Yeah, looking at the water. Laura, I got your name, but could you frame the question back, please? Oh yes, if they will ever refrain from crossing the river because of predators, of course. Yeah, you can never cross a road when there is fast traffic or there is danger that is lacking. Over here, they know if they see crocodiles, they won't cross. They see lion across the other side, they won't cross. So they do come to the river and not cross. Over here, the will to cross is very strong. Majority of these guys are males, as I can see them. They have that belly button, and also the boss, the in between the horns, is much thicker than the females, so I can tell mostly they are males. Sometimes males travel in huge herds, females and the young ones travel together, but sometimes you also come across a mixed herd. Over here basically looks like a lot of male, and I would say they are wanting to cross to get to the other side, to this side where I am, where there's plenty of females that they can mate with. I don't know, any moment it might happen, but who am I to say anything? Over there, that's a sacred ibis, a bird related to the Egyptian god Thoth. That's why it's called sacred ibis, together with the cattle egrets, all of them taking advantage if there is a tick, a mite that's falling off. You can see them looking keenly on the ground and walking pacefully towards where the wildebeest have been, or in between, to pick up that grub. Yeah, that's how the symbiotic works between these grazers and the cattle egrets. Yeah, I don't know if they're still going to do it. Looks like the wheel is there. They're very close. It's a matter of one just going across, and then everybody will go. Yeah, they're looking. You see how they're looking. Yeah, I don't know. Any moment it might happen. Little bear, are you cheering for the wildebeest? Come on, send all those positive vibes for them to cross. I'm looking forward. The weather doesn't look promising for me, and I have to drive a long way, so I'm hoping they can cross so I can start heading back, but I'm not going until either they cross or they go back. Here, I think time will only be the limiter, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm waiting because the wheel with this small herd of wildebeest is very, very high. Mind you, this is just a needle in the haystack, considering the amount of wildebeest that we have, across this side. We will be seeing more in the coming week.
Can be the most frustrating thing in the world, trying to wait for wildebeest to cross the river, make up their minds, but when they do, my gosh, it's so exciting, and the anticipation, I suppose, is half the fun. We haven't left. We've come around the other side of this elephant because they all moved off, and then a whole lot came back to the same hole to have another drink. We want to go south, and so we've just been enjoying their company. So while you look at that one eating, I'm just going to ask Theo to have a look at this rather scraggly piece of unattractive vegetation over here, and I found it in the middle of a splendid thorn. It had obviously been dropped there by an elephant, and you can see that they've chewed off the tops, and I think that they picked it when it was still quite green. Now that green stuff that you can see growing around the little water hole is the same as this. And what I'd like you to notice about it is the fact that it has a sort of angular stem. It's not a grass species. It's a sedge of some description, and inside it, it's very like polystyrene. It's sort of foamy, like a hard foam inside. And so there's not a huge amount of nutritional value in this plant. And it's got a very angular stem, so if you're ever trying to discern the difference between a grass and a sedge, that would be one way of doing it. They're quite nutritious, I think, when they're green, but not otherwise, and they only grow where it's really quite wet. So, I wanted to show you that, and so I did show you. Now let's go back to the elephant. Who is now drinking on 3 legs. That particular elephant has been sat at that hole now for, I would say, 15 minutes, at least. Drinking with not a care in the world, as though this was a Sunday afternoon and there really wasn't anything better to be doing and nowhere better to be. And I think that's exactly the truth. I would imagine that the amount of adrenaline or ephedrine flowing through that animal's body right now would be almost untraceable. It is so relaxed and slow about it Sunday afternoon. It's lovely to see, makes me feel the same. It's always nice to spend an extended period with elephants when you can. So they're normally doing something interesting, like digging and drinking. We live such frantically hurried lives, and this elephant has not any franticism or hurriedness about it.
So talking about being peaceful, like if you look at these zebra here, you'll notice they're very relaxed. But the one off to our left, if you notice, like towards the tail end, you'll notice that there's half a tail. And also, look at the stripes right in the middle of the zebra. If you look at the back, you'll see that one stripe where it turns into, where it like branches off and goes off to the right. You'll see it doesn't align up properly. Now, I reckon when this zebra was a lot younger, there was possibly the chance of a lion trying to hunt it. And it jumped onto its back, and of course, where the claws were, you can imagine that claw ripping through the skin, and eventually as it healed up, the stripes healed in a different it lined up differently to how it normally used to be. And you can even see near the tail end, it looks like there's a little chunk of the muscle that's gone and the skin has just grown over it. Just a little itch. He's just using those lower teeth, almost like pinching it. You can see also it looks like the zebra is shaking, and it's not because it's cold, it's just because of all the flies that are currently around it. But look at that tail and that big scar on the side of the leg there. I think he was very, very lucky. And it might be that the one right next to him and just off to the right, there's quite a few other zebras, that he might even be the stallion. And just think about it, every time that if there was any danger, he'll be the one running at the back and protecting the rest of the herd from any danger. And that could have been the reason why he has those scars to prove for it. So all these other ones can definitely give him a big thank you. Ray, it's really difficult to tell the age. For me, it's just basically like if I look at a zebra and you look at some of the features. So when I say that, I mean the size. There's actually an example to you. So let's say if we go slightly to the right of where these two are, there's one standing right next to the other one. And it might be an old or one of the previous year's offspring and his mother. Now look at the size difference. The youngsters, their legs when they're born are almost the same height as that of the
parents, and the theory behind it is that because they have longer legs and more well developed, they're able to keep up with the rest of the herd. But also, if a predator had to stalk and look under the herd, it's very hard to distinguish the youngsters because they're almost the same height as the mothers, especially with the legs. However, now for me, how I tell the difference is by looking at the overall size. I look at the color and if there's any fluffy bits on the zebra. Normally when they're born, they're very fluffy, a lot lighter in color. Sometimes they are a little bit darker because of the fluffiness if they go and lie down. But as they get older, they start losing that and they become more bulky and stronger, and also the condition pick up. So basically it's almost like looking at a horse. When they're young, you can see they're very skinny, they still need to bulk up, but as they get older, they start bulking up. And then as they get older from there on, they'll start losing their condition. So it's very hard to distinguish, but just mainly looking at some of the features.
Well, that's very true. That's how you easily tell the age of zebras. But just listen to that. There's a bit of stampede of these wildebeest that are running towards the river. And I'm very happy that you can all hear that. I'm going to keep quiet for another few more seconds. Goodness me. I'm sure you heard all that, all the stampede, the pandemonium there. But what is most interesting, we have always learned, once these wildebeest run and they think there's a funny spot that looks like to be dangerous, they all scatter and run. Look at that. At that particular point, they're all flying out of it. Nothing I can see myself. But the very first one saw something there. Whether real or not, they'll all behave the same. I can tell you, I can sit here for 2 hours just watching this and listening to them thumping the ground as they run to join up the big head in front of them. They keep calling, I think. Keep coming, guys. This is the direction we're taking. Is it north? Is it south? Keep coming. Don't stop. The big message for them, put your head down and move. Now, if you tend to be a bit slow and young, or you're limping, you become straight target for the young one running there. You easily become a target for the predators. See that one, yeah? You do not want to be in that position on your own. You better sandwich yourself amongst the big group. You're safer that way. You get protected instead of staying on the periphery of the group. I don't know how many I've counted now. Earlier we were trying to count the number, and what we were showing you before is not the same herd, because we have done a huge loop to look for others. And look at that. They get scooped very, very easily. They just take off. They see some grass looking funny, or grass moves, or a bush is blown by the wind. They cannot trust that. They just scatter, thinking it could be a lion. They've been thinking years and years through their life cycle, have known anything reddish, anything that moves is dangerous and will be coming for them. And once they get to a particular place, if the group that's leading slows down, and the ones that are behind also will also tend to slow down. Wow, I agree with you, because this is quite a spectacle. I mean, there's nothing that compares to migration to me between the Masai Mara and the Serengeti National Park. Anytime you see it, morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening, it's always breathtaking. Well, they've slowed down, and them slowing down means it's time for me to move on.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinde, everyone. Thanks to our tracking vehicle, we've managed to catch up with this mother cheetah and her 2 youngsters from this morning. And look at how fat those tummies are. Oh my goodness. Oh my word, did you see that little one lying on its back? It was a serious effort to roll over. And then once he started, all of his added momentum from that belly swung over quickly onto his side. It's so good to see that they've had a good meal. And even the mother on the left, remember how skinny she looked yesterday? Still not super full, but at least there's a bit of a bulge there. So good to see that these cheetah have managed to eat. Apparently everyone remarking on the massive storm that's busy brewing behind these cheetah. It does look quite ominous, doesn't it? And then that big euphorbia also behind the cheetah, looking like we're on some alien planet. Yeah, all of this wind bringing this weather system here towards us. It hasn't started to rain yet. We're hoping that we don't get rained on for a little while. Rain is of course always welcome, but it would be nice for us to show you these cheetah for a little bit before we get rained on and have to beat a hasty retreat back to camp. But lovely to have followed the story so far of this mother cheetah and her 2 youngsters. Remember we saw them yesterday evening. We waited patiently hoping that they would try to hunt. And this morning got to see them feeding on that impala, which apparently the tracking vehicle, we spoke to them now, they went back to the carcass and they said apparently there's absolutely nothing left. It's been completely finished off. So I wonder if the vultures didn't maybe come down and do away with the organs. Garden Poet, you're asking a very interesting question. You're asking if these cheetah can hunt when it's raining. Garden Poet, they absolutely can. And in fact, often during a rainstorm, not just cheetah, but many other large carnivores will actually or often prefer to hunt, or often hunt very often when it's raining. Just imagine for an animal like an impala that's standing out in the rain. Imagine it would be quite miserable, so it'll be huddled up. Will be all the noise of the raindrops hitting the ground, which will conceal the sounds of the predator approaching. Also, all the rain and the wind blowing might also conceal the predator's scent. So often when it's raining, it makes it a bit easier for predators to hunt their prey. The Garden Poet, absolutely, they can hunt in the rain. Imagine a chase for a cheetah, if they were to chase an impala or another fleet-footed antelope while it was raining, with the ground being all marshy and muddy because of the water. They might slip and slide a little bit, but that also might work in the favor of the cheetah. If their prey loses its footing, they'd then be able to pounce on it and then overpower it. Look at her busy grooming herself. Doesn't seem to be too concerned by the approaching storm. Myself and Craig are going to sit here for a bit longer and take in this lovely scene.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Oh, it seems like some exciting stuff has been happening. We have just been bumbling about and enjoying the sights and scenes that Djuma has to offer in this lovely afternoon. We've come now to Buffelshoek Dam, where there's a beautiful grey heron. A nice drink there. You can hear that the wind has picked up quite a bit. Seems to be the only soul at the dam today. There's a few Cape turtle doves around. I'm sure you can hear just how windy. You can actually see, the ripples in the water. Although our heron doesn't seem to mind it too much. Sometimes I feel like they're the giraffes of the water, of water birds, with their beautiful long necks. They'd be looking for little invertebrates and fish, other medium-sized foods that may find hopping about or swimming about in the water. I also love the way they move. It's so deliberate and careful. The most... Elizabeth, you say you love their long necks. I do too. I do too. They look so elegant. I also like the hair, or rather the feathers on their head that seem to blow in the wind as if they've got a bit of hair. So this is the time that they'd like to forage quite a bit as the sun starts to set. But they'll also forage a lot when it's moonlit, when the evenings are moonlit. Now the reason they walk so deliberately and slowly is of course because they don't want to disturb their prey. They want to stalk it, almost, and then they kind of pull back and strike or spear at the prey. Some of their feathers are so long and delicate, like a long-necked ballerina. I think I see some plovers on the right there. A little more to the right. More. There we go. Cute little guys along the shoreline. I love seeing them along the shoreline. They always look like they're having so much fun. Well, I'm going to keep on bumping and see what else we find.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Maham here. I'm still in the same place I was half an hour ago, and believe me, this is the patience you have to have when you come to the river. It is unpredictable, and you cannot plan, you cannot predict, and it doesn't matter who you are. These are wild animals, and they move at their own pace, and they don't know about our feelings. Those few decided, I think, to add some extra energy, or maybe to forget the stress that they're facing and nibble on the grass a little bit before maybe crossing or leaving. Sorry, I'm using those two words because over here it's comme ci, comme ça, 50-50. It's either they cross or not. I know most of you are looking forward to seeing them cross, but I was taught as a guide is you never give promises, especially in cases like this. You might hate me for saying that, but it is the truth. I might tell you that it's going to cross, then it doesn't, then you say Isaac is a liar and he doesn't know what he's doing. So it's just a matter of waiting. Appreciate those documentaries you see. Some of them have been yes, they are getting very impatient, and so they are yapping away. They are, getting restless. Children, they get restless and start talking. Anyway, it's very hard to say what's going to happen. I'm waiting. I'm hoping that we can share our second crossing since we started going live. This is a very small group, but in the coming weeks we'll have to we'll get some more herds crossing. This is one that crossed earlier on, and now it wants to come back and join the big herds me and David have been sharing with you on this Mara Triangle side. But surely they will have to go across again, because on the other side there is still plenty of grass, but I think they miss the company of being in big herds. They feel threatened, so they want to come across this side and join the rest of the big herds. Looks, that like most of them are seated, which is a sign like, they're getting tired. But still, a few are going around and discussing, what's gonna happen, what they're thinking. I don't know. Forgive me, but if you excuse me, I'm gonna wait here, and if something happens, I'm sure you will see it.
Welcome back, everyone. Have a look at these two little cubs and how cute they're being, rolling around. They've been licking each other's faces, grooming each other, reaffirming their bond as siblings, but also I think there's a bit of selfish or something to gain out of their licking each other's faces, not just reaffirming the bond, but getting bits of dried blood from the carcass. Oh my word, look at how fat that tummy is, my goodness. We were talking earlier about how much a cheetah can eat, and these cubs literally look like their bellies could explode. Look how that little cub is going to investigate that tree. That's exactly what it will do as an adult, going to see if another cheetah is maybe scent marked there. This looks like the little male. And as an adult he'll... Oh sorry, no, there's no mind, this is the little female, my apologies. She'll go and sniff trees to see if other males, or if males have come and left their scent marks behind. There's a very tempting little branch there. I think if she maybe didn't have such a full belly, she might try and jump up there. And everyone remarking on how cute their little bellies look. Well, not so little bellies, like quite full. And amazing they can still walk with their tummies so full. They look like they're hanging down halfway to the ground. I wonder if with this approaching storm, if Mom is maybe going to try and move them to somewhere a little bit more sheltered, just to get out of the wind a little bit and out of the rain. And as these cubs move towards their mother, myself and Craig are going to reposition. I mean, when you come back to us, maybe we'll have a nice family portrait of all three of them cuddled up together.
Hey everyone, I am absolutely ecstatic about what we've just found over here. Just forgive me if I get super excited, because this is the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. We've just found brand new lion cubs. Okay, they've been seen once by a team of field rangers. This is our first time seeing them. They're just there in the body, just that little cub moving on the left hand side. I don't even know how many there are. I saw 2 sets of tracks, but there may actually be 3 of them. But not only that, we have got the most mind-blowing interaction going on. There's been a huge troop of baboons and these 2 lionesses. So we've got 2 lionesses here and a huge troop of baboons actually up and down on the rocks, and they are barking their heads off. They're actually climb down those rocks sometimes and almost get to the lioness, and then they move back up again. So there's one coming down now. There's the lioness lying on the rocks over there. So what we're seeing here, and this is what excites me, apart from the cubs and the setting, is this is just, this goes back to the deepest, darkest times when you've got predator and primates interacting together like this. There's something in the human psyche that this just kind of elicits a tremor down your spine when you see this kind of thing playing out there. That cat is super alert. It's not that she'll go for the baboons, because they've kind of got the safety of the high ground over there, and but the fact that they've got their cubs down there, there's this kind of, I don't want to say truce, but there's this kind of uneasy, okay, we've got our cubs out, we're not going to move, the baboons don't want to move because they can see the lions. But wow, man, this is just unbelievable, and we're so lucky we got signal there. We've been ambling around with no signal for the past half hour after I went for extra schooling lessons. And then we get this, sure. And interestingly, I actually tracked these two sets of lioness tracks to within about 40 yards, 50 yards of where they're actually lying with the cubs. And then Angie has asked, will the baboons attack the cubs? Angie, if the lionesses are not present and those baboons actually find cubs, they will kill them. We've seen them attacking cheetah. We've seen them chasing leopards, where leopards literally run for their lives. And this is like this thing that goes around that baboons are leopards' favorite food. It's not true in 99% of the areas where they occur together. And if they find small lion cubs unattended, they will, a troop of baboons like this will shred a lion cub in a heartbeat. So those lionesses will not go anywhere. But obviously the tension is going to be diffused a little bit later, because as the sun goes down, the baboons are going to want to find a much safer place. And they actually approached, we watched the troop approaching, after we were just talking about looking at the eland earlier. And we actually watched the troop of baboons approaching from the west onto the top of this ridge. And then we drove past, I followed two lion tracks in to about 40 meters, 50 meters from where this lioness is lying with the cubs. I didn't see anything, and I just thought they'd actually gone out the block. So we drove around, and I tracked them in from the other side. And, well, this is the result. And I couldn't have hoped for a better ending to that little follow-up session there. My goodness. I don't know if you can hear the baboons. So Nancy has asked, are those the cubs making those sounds? Nancy, those are the baboons that are screaming their heads off, barking their heads off at these lions. And they're kind of like I say, there's a bit of an uneasy truce going in here, because the lions won't move and the baboons don't want to leave because they can see where the threat is. And that's actually a very, very common thing that a lot of prey animals do. Rather, when you can see the predator, keep watching it, keep alarming, rather than just putting your head down and just walking away, because it's the predator that you can't see that's the real problem. So as long as you can see where that threat is, you know you've pretty much got it safe. Man, what a sighting. And the little ones cavorting around there, little do they know, one day when they're big, their parents will teach them. That thing down below you is not your friend. We've seen lions catching baboons on Tswalu on a number of occasions. Typically, when the troop is moving through, this is off the charts cool. And thank you for all your patience and sticking with us through the eland saga, to be continued at a later date. But what we've seen at Tswalu is these big open grasslands, like this sort of expansive grassland in the foreground over here. These troops have to cross these areas in order to, there you can see it nicely now, this plain in front of us, they have to cross these areas to go from one hill to the next. And it's when they're crossing these open areas, that's when the lions take them. And what I have noticed, and it's anecdotal again, there's no science behind it, but I've just noticed in areas on Tswalu we get very, very low lion densities. And then you get areas that are more preferred by lions. The troops actually tend to spread out more when they're going through these open areas, in areas where there's less lion activity, and the troop compresses a lot in areas where they know there's a real risk of lions. And I think that's a safety thing. So those cubs are super cryptic, and I mean, even that lioness lying at the bottom at that fig tree there is just, I mean, you can just see that cub lying on there. I can only see one cub. I don't know how many you can see, but I think there's at least two and probably a third one. But it's just lovely to see this interaction played out. That lioness lying up on the rocks to the right of that one, that's with the cubs. She is keeping a beady eye on those baboons. A bald, beady eye. Bald, beady baboon eye. Beautiful, bald, beady baboon eye.
Our trio of cheetah have moved ever so slightly, everybody. It seems like Mum is slowly leading them off towards some better cover where they can get out the wind a bit, and if it does start to rain, get out the rain as well. The two cubs like looking in two opposite directions, doing their part to maintain their awareness about themselves. Nice to have them so close to us as well. We can get a nice close-up of that little female cub's face. Look at those beautiful black lines that come down from her eyes to her mouth. And those big eyes. She almost looks like she's wearing a surprised, she looks like she's wearing a permanent surprised expression. Very cute. And then her brother just to the left of her. There he is with his right ear that looks a little bit scruffy. And there we go, the family portrait that we were hoping for earlier. They have got the cutest little faces. Absolutely gorgeous, look at that. Nice and content, Mum has managed to feed them today. And that meal will last them for a few days. Mum won't have to hunt for maybe 2 or 3 days now. I don't think they're going to move too far from here over the next couple of days until Mum needs to go and hunt. They'll kind of move around trying to avoid the lion pride of the area. And avoid male cheetah until it comes time to go in search of food again. Look at that little tail from that cub on the right and how it's twitching. Batting his sister in the face every now and then with it. Very peaceful. Apparently, lots of you remarking on how beautiful their eyes are. Remember yesterday evening I was talking about this particular female and how her eyes are a slightly lighter shade of honey or amber than other female cheetah that I've seen in this area. And it almost seems like she passes on that same genetic trait to her cubs. Now neither of these two cubs have that same, can all match that same orangey color, but her previous litter, the cubs also had that very bright orange colored eyes. One of my favorite parts of a cheetah is those beautiful eyes. Honey or amber color, or in this case slightly more orange. Just mesmerizing. Sadly, everyone, there is some very scary looking weather making its way towards us, and so myself and Craig are going to have to leave these cheetah if we are to avoid getting rained on. So we'll leave these cheetah to rest here for the night, but it's been super special to get to spend so much time with them.
So this dramatic scene is still unfolding before our eyes. That lioness is still on that rock, super alert, just keeping an eye on these baboons, and if you go fractionally up 45 degrees, not even to the above the line, you'll see these baboons are like moving. Look. Wow. The moment she started moving like it, just to get different position, the baboons went nuts. Unfortunately, we don't have a huge amount of ambient sound here, so I know it is quite muted. Wow, that backlighting on those baboons on their coats. Oh, scratch, I got a flea. Sleep with baboons, you get fleas. I am overjoyed with the sighting. And it's just, I love this. What I love about this is seeing this acceptance of both sides. Where, I mean, if those lions had the super baboons out in the open, it would be absolute mayhem, pandemonium, panic, whatever you want to add in there. We'll keep it at those ones, rather. And, but it would just be absolute chaos. But the fact that they're up on that ridge, it's like the baboons know that lioness, if she wants to catch him, she's going to have to do a huge amount of effort to get it right. And I don't think she will. So this is more about knowing they've got their cubs there, and they just want to keep an eye on these baboons. I still can't actually believe how close I was to those lions when I was following them in from that side. Bex is also these Chakma baboons, correct? These are good old Chakma baboons. And the troops that the average troop size that we've seen on Tswalu is probably 40 to 50, give or take. We've got one or two smaller troops, but that's about the average troop size. We've got one troop that's considerably bigger than that as well. Oh, what a sighting. And I love the way they keep on approaching this lioness that's lying down on the rocks over there. They're trying to like get a little bit closer just to make sure that she's not going to do anything.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah, you caught me laughing. Yeah, what just happened is one got very confident. I wish you'd watch it. He was like, I'm going, guys. He walked so fast. He got there and he said, oh, I'm not going. And then everybody stopped. Yeah, this has been the game in the last 2 hours. I'm going, I get there. I remember, somebody got taken. I don't go. This is the game. Patience is the game here. Again, you've caught them as they are retreating back, but they went so fast towards the water, and then all of a sudden they turned around. Still, it doesn't mean it's over. I think only time will kick us out of here, but it's not over until it's over completely. See, that one is saying, I'm not going today, but not everybody is agreeing with him, so everybody is stopping. How fast can wildebeest swim? Interesting question. I don't think it's Neo. Thank you for your question. You asked me how fast can a wildebeest swim. Well, how can I answer that? It's never been, I think, tested. It's never been documented. But I would add in to say that maybe it depends with the level of the water, the current, and the will. But I don't have an answer to that. I would say they are very good swimmers when they get into the water. I don't know how fast. Sorry. Maybe one of our guides might be able to answer that. Maybe David, maybe James, maybe Dylan. Any one of them might be able to answer. And I would be very interested to hear what's the answer. But I know it's never been tested to see how fast they swim, but they're very good swimmers. Okay, we're still waiting. The game is still the same. The will to go across is still very strong. It's only a matter of time and finding the perfect or the right leader. Remember, wildebeest don't have leaders. We have somebody who's limping there. You see him? Yeah, that must have been caused either by wrong footing. Most of the time it's wrong footing, and sometimes that leads to predators killing them, but sometimes also they heal. It's not always that they die, but if they go across an area with hyenas, that would be moving buffet when they're limping, because hyenas take advantage of weak ones, and so the saying goes, only the strong survive here. Okay, we have a bull that's looking into the water. I don't know what he's thinking. Yeah, every time they gather together, the pressure to move increases, and that's what I like to see. When they're scattered, it means everybody's relaxed, but when they regroup, they form a tight circle. It means moving might come. Kathy, you asked me, does the Masai Mara have more wildebeest than any other park? Tricky question, because wildebeest are migrants. They move from the Serengeti to the Mara, so at any given time they're always on the move. They spend a very minimal time in an area, so I don't have an answer to that. If you ask me if we had more resident wildebeest in the Mara, then I would be able to tell you. If you go to an area called Aitong, which is the most part of the Mara Game Reserve, then you'll find them. Areas like Loita and Abosha, you'll find resident ones. I would answer you like that, but we don't have resident wildebeest in the in the Masai Mara. They migrate, so we only have them here for a period of about 3 months, and then they head back towards the Serengeti in Tanzania, which is the next neighbor to Kenya. And over there they have a huge expanse of an area where they roam. They travel all the way to the central plains of the Serengeti, area called Seronera, all the way to the border to Ngorongoro. Then they turn around towards Lake Ndutu, head towards Maswa, an area called Kusini, and then they head west to go a place called Dambaka. Then they head north, hitting the Masai Mara in the months of about July, August. So they're always on the move. We don't have resident wildebeest, Kathy. All right, remember to engage us on #ArtWild. For more questions, I'm still here waiting to see what's gonna happen. Like I said before, only time will kick me out of the reserve, because I really would love to share this with you, but who am I to say anything? Over here, experience doesn't count. It's wildebeest have a mind of their own. So I'm chilling here, hoping they're gonna cross before I lose light. Yeah, lots of itching going on there.
The wildebeest are just doing the standing around thing. Yes, that is the way of things with them. What we're going to do is create a picturesque picture of the descending sun. I wouldn't describe it as setting just yet. We've done an extensive loop of most of Djuma and not come up with a great deal. Yeah. There you are. Theodore's giving me the thumbs up. So So there's a lot of smoke and dust in the air because of the wind, turning the sun a very pleasant shade of orange-yellow.
About halfway down.
I'd love to be quiet so that you could hear some evening sounds, but all you're going to hear is the rushing of air. So our plan from here, while you look at the sun, is to head up towards the western boundary and see if anything's around there. I know that my friend Tswalu is heading down towards the hyena den to see what's going on there. That's very pretty, Theodore. Very nice. Linda Poli, you say you can hear my radio. Yes, I'm afraid that many of you will be able to hear the radio. It is the Game Drive radio. There's been a malfunction, which means that it no longer feeds into my earpiece. And so I have to keep turning it down and up. We'll sort that out in due course, fear not. I hope it's not disturbing your enjoyment of the drives, Linda. Yes, Anna Maria, peach and apricot sky. That's a nice description. It's kind of a golden sky and, well, yellow orb, I suppose. Coppery sky, actually. It's not really gold. We parked beautifully, didn't we, so that it could fill the little gap in the tree there. That was purely luck, of course. This particular wind is coming from the southeast, and it wouldn't surprise me. I believe it was quite windy at Phinda today, and so it wouldn't surprise me if this was the front end of whatever front has just rocked through there. Apparently there's a storm at Phinda happening soon. I don't think that's going to happen here. Beautiful. All right, Theodore, on we go.
I wish I was speeding off somewhere. I've just come from the hyena den, which is very, very quiet, unfortunately. But that's okay, we still have this beautiful image of the setting sun behind this marula. The colors are fabulous, if you ask me. Oh, why, thank you. Apparently mine was better than James's. Thanks so much. I will get an extra piece of whatever is for dinner. Well done, BK. Well done. Very nice. You can see that the wind has truly picked up. The bushes are rustling, the tops of the trees there. And it's been a very quiet afternoon at Djuma. But that being said, it's been a very gentle afternoon. For lack of a better term, very peaceful afternoon. Everything feels very soft. The sun feels soft, the air feels soft. And we feel quite content, don't we, BK?
Yep.
Yes, we do. Even though we too have been looking at lots of dry grass. The occasional ooh, some people are saying that James' sunset shot was better. BK, explain yourself. BK says he has nothing to say. He loves his sunset shot. Now, Just if there was a leopard that was hopping through the sun, much like E.T. at this time, then I'm sure I would win the sunset shot. Mary J, you said to get an extra piece of asparagus for dinner? How absolutely, I mean, thank you so much. That is just too generous of you. I hope that you will call the chef and organize that for me. I do like asparagus though, by the way. I think the setting sun is beautiful either way. Either way, I think both James and I shall share an asparagus, half each, this evening.
Well, everybody, myself and Craig were rapidly trying to get away from the rainstorm to get back to the lodge. But on the way, we've had our path blocked. From that mother cheetah with the 2 cubs, we've managed to find these 2 big male cheetah lying here in the road. And have a look at that one on the right, everybody. Just ask Craig to zoom out a little bit for us. But look at how he's looking off into the bush there. Just over the top of his head, there's a waterhole. And when we drove past that waterhole earlier, there was a very big herd of impala in that area. And I wonder if he's not maybe seen or heard or smelt those impala. And he's now looking in that direction to see if he can perhaps try to hunt. Another thing, apparently everyone's very excited that we've got even more cheetah this afternoon. This is insane. This is 5 cheetah in one afternoon. This is unreal. So I was just going to say, also there was another vehicle that drove through this area a little bit earlier, and apparently also around this waterhole there's been a pride of lions. So I wonder, tough to know if this male cheetah has detected the lions or detected the impala, but he definitely does seem to be interested in something. Obviously his reaction is going to be very different for the impala compared to the lions. The brother on the left there doesn't seem to be too concerned. See how he's lying down. Very exciting to see these 2 male cheetahs. It's been quite some time since I've last seen them. Male cheetah, of course, being territorial, and these particular males having a big territory that seems to even be expanding. We've been seeing them in places we haven't seen them in before. It's as if they're exploring to new areas as they get older and stronger. So good to catch up with them, or rather to see them again.
Welcome back, guys, and it has just happened. 3 have made it. The rest have chickened out, and I missed a few. Okay, it started and it's going. That is a very bad section of the river there you've chosen to cross. Yeah, I don't know if the rest are gonna come, but those were first few. Now the pressure is on for the rest that are back there. Yeah, looks very okay there. Okay, that was struggling. It's a very bad area. It's full of rocks, uneven ground. Yeah, this is what sometimes, oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's more coming. There we go. Aha, I think we're witnessing, the current there is very strong. You can tell those guys are being washed downstream. Luckily there's no crocs anywhere. Wow, look at this, guys. Thank you for waiting. This is the result. This is, what you deserve for waiting all that time with me. Unbelievable. Remember, this is coming live from the Mara Triangle, the Masai Mara. Look at that. Unbelievable. You guys are so fortunate. Thank you very much for waiting. Yeah, they're still going. I never expected the least for them to come here. The right place is further up, but I think one of them thought, it would have crocodiles, so they came into this rocky area. This is a very wrong crossing, because if you get the wrong footing, definitely you will break a leg. The smarter one, the older ones, you can tell are going much slower. The inexperienced are just running, hopping. Sorry about that. Once they get, not yet, don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. They might be gathering up and coming, because this is a very, very easy place for them to take one. Okay, sit back and enjoy. I'm just gonna go quiet. I'm gonna wait for your question. Now let me give you a few seconds to enjoy. There's a croc there behind that little guy. He's coming really fast. Oh dear, there's a hippo. Oh dear, he's gone. Sorry, little guy. The last stragglers are coming. Looks like, oh my god, there's another one coming. Hopefully he makes it. Well done, little guy. Go. Looks like he's gonna make it. There comes another bigger one. Is the little guy gonna make it? Where is he? There he is. Well done, little guy. He lives to tell a tale. See how full the crocodiles are. Some of them are just realizing that, it's, the wildebeest are crossing. I think that no, there is two more across. I don't know if they're going to go. These are the last two. Let's see what's gonna happen. It looks like a bull. There we go. I'm not getting left behind. I am going across, or am I gonna go back? Okay. Chevy, they should hire a hippo for protection. I think that would be wise. If they had a mutual agreement, the crocodile would starve because they are very intimidating, the hippos. Okay, what has happened here? Is the crossing further up better? Okay, I don't know. Let's have a look. There are two. He's got company. That's where they were supposed to cross earlier. Are we going or not? That is a very deep spot. I've seen them cross before, and usually they just, there we go. I've seen them cross there before, so it's, there we go. Whoop! That was a good dive. yes, there we go. Those are the last stragglers. And that is it. Patience pays. Ta-da! Excellent. Thank you guys. That was marvelous. Your patience paid off. I don't know if we can see. I don't know if the guy who got taken will see him. As I look for him, I'll let you enjoy something else.
Wow, what crazy action. We don't have quite the same action that Isaac has had in the Mara, but we do have a little dwarf mongoose. There were about 10 of them out, and they're having a little groom in watching the sunset, but now they're heading home for the evening. And I'm about to turn it up as well, because I'm going to go the speed limit all the way to Ndlovu Dam, because it sounds like there is a leopard there. And I kid you not, mongoose, as you listen to me shouting in the vehicle, I said that there was going to be a leopard on the rocks at that dam this afternoon. I should have stayed there. What do you think, Mongoose? Do you think I should go and see the leopard? You guys probably don't really care, hey? Probably not. But they're heading home. The sun is now set behind all the trees. So I think these are just the last two, making sure that everybody, all the other mongoose, are home and in their termite mound. You can see that they've been living here for quite some time. There's quite a bit of feces on the outside. Look at that. Where are the plated lizards to eat all the feces? Not at this termite mound. They have a nice symbiotic relationship where the lizards do the housekeeping and the mongoose give them something to eat. Not quite my cup of tea, but you know, got to do what you do you got to do what you got to do to survive in this world, I suppose. Mongoose, I'm going to say goodbye to you though, because I would very much like to go and get that leopard before the show ends, and we are not really close. But I like this mound though, so I'm definitely going to keep this in mind, because it's a big colony, and I think even first thing in the morning, just on the eastern side, as we zoom on past it, we could actually get some nice action. So Seb, that might be our plan for the morning. Hey? Warthogs coming out of their burrows, mongoose waking up now that we know where there is a nice colony, and they're actually quite relaxed too. We were a little bit far away from them, but we just wanted to make sure that we got a view of them. Whee! So now we're just bounding in the direction. Oh, actually we're not too far. I reckon if I go up and through the crater, then down Marshall Road. And if you're an experienced safari guide, you know how to work the system as well. Oh, don't forget to look left and right though, because one day you're definitely going to drive into somebody not focusing. So that could be quite nice. I think I just have a feeling it's this male leopard that's there. Might be Shimongwe, the big male leopard that we see occasionally, because I've seen him up on those rocks a few times. I'm just going to hustle a little bit. But we're going to keep heading in this direction, and then we're going to go south. So hopefully next time you see us, we'll be at Ndlovu Dam with a leopard.
Ooh, exciting stuff. I was just listening about it or hearing about it on the Game Drive radio. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up on that leopard. As for me, I'm going to take Zoe's from the south to the north, or at least to via tele-access, and then see what we can find, see what we can come up with. Like I said, I'm feeling so super peaceful that I'm waiting for the gifts of the bush. Perhaps all its gifts were used up yesterday afternoon around this time, which I don't mind at all, because that was spectacular. It's starting to get a little bit cooler now, cooler than it was yesterday at this time. And my very unreliable weather forecast says that there may be some rain, possibly tomorrow. Like I said, very, very unreliable. Very unreliable. Okay, up Zoe's we go. Hopefully we'll find something exciting. Maybe as exciting as the leopard.
Well, you never know what you'll find out, Trish, and you could be surprised. You take one corner and there's always a lot of things unexpected. Well, things, though, animals that are not unexpected currently in the Masai Mara are the wildebeest. Every corner you turn, every stop you make, every hill you take, every down, you do, every bush you pass is new. And having cooled off, you can see now they're more active. They are not moving because they need to feed. They need the energy to make them walk the long distances they cover during the migration. Rolling Thunder Chicken, what a name there. And yes, ideally the wildebeest will cross the Mara River during the day, but once in a while they have been documented crossing at night. But if, say, there's some very good moonlight and they can see, and if they had congregated, for example, by the river, in the late in the evening, and the numbers keep growing, what happens is, as the buildup gets bigger, there's only one thing that would happen. The ones very close to the riverbank will definitely give in, and once the pressure is so much from the back, they tend like, we cannot wait. They keep trying not to go in. They know the risks that are involved. They fracture their legs. The crocs are waiting. Other predators like lions could be laying ambush, but they're like, we have to do it. But in general, you will notice that most of the crossing is done during the day, and I'm sure you might have seen what Isaac was showing you, a crossing like in such a good daylight. But once in a while it's at night and there's pretty good moonlight and they can see well, they'll just cross and go to the other side, because that's what they are meant to be. Some survive, and I would want to say we have more damage and more losses at night than during the day. So I'm going to go and keep trying to see whether I may see something different apart from these wildebeest.
These two male cheetah have moved off of the road and into that thicket that we spoke about earlier, everyone. And they are very close to that pride of lions, so I think tonight they're going to have a bit of a restless evening with all of this wind, no doubt wafting the scent of lions towards them, but hopefully that will at least give them a bit of an early warning and they'll be able to move away from the lions. But an incredible story that these two youngish male cheetah have, and I don't know, I think a couple of the other rangers here from Ambion Pinda have been able to show them to you in the past, but a really incredible success story. Both of these youngsters, these two brothers, were orphaned when they were only about 7 months old. Their mother was killed by lions, and against all odds they've managed to survive until they're now dominant males, territorial males that hold their own territory, that are fathering cubs. So very special to get to spend a bit of time with them. And exactly, an incredible story against all odds. But I think now, as I'm sure you can see, the light is starting to fade a little bit, and a lot of grey, gloomy clouds starting to move over us. So I think pretty soon myself and Craig are going to leave these cheetah to the evening, give them some peace and some space so that they can take in their surroundings and make sure that they're all set for the coming of the night, so that they can avoid any disturbance by this pride of lions that's not too far from them. Hear the wind blowing through the grass and through the bushes. Alright, we're going to leave these cheetah now, everybody. What an exciting afternoon we've had.
We're making our way back towards camp, not because we're going home, well, not just yet, but somebody saw a leopard walking through our camp and they think it was a male. Now, that to my mind can only mean Hukamuri, because I can't see Molwati the Terrified walking through our camp. And so we're making our way down there, but first we're going to just see if these impalas look like they have seen anything particularly terrifying in the last 20 minutes. Have you seen anything particularly terrifying in the last 20 minutes? Yes or no?
Blink twice for yes, once for no.
Once for no. Okay, good. Excellent. Now we know that Hukumuri did not come past here. Good. Let's carry on. It would seem that the road indicates the same. There are no tracks of a male leopard going this way. I am suspicious that this was in fact a female leopard by the name of Kalamba. I am not convinced. But we will go and verify. We will ground truth the rumors. As we drive into a very powerful wind. Oh, I can hear, hang on. A very brave and stout little long-billed crombeck. He is calling from this Sisyphus tree. Can you see him? There he is. He's gone. That's amazing. He let go of his perch and is now somewhere near southern Zimbabwe. So strong is the wind. That was the long-billed crombeck going. I wonder if he was alarming the leopard. I've just had the most amazing communication from the final control and it has rendered me speechless.
So we just had the most incredible sighting that you joined us with there, and yeah, I was over the moon because that was just something that was totally unexpected for this afternoon. And again, you know, you come out here, you never know what you're going to get. I had no intention of even looking for lions this Savi. More just take a relaxed bumble, and there you go. You know, so yeah. So anyway, so we left them there. What was interesting, we could only see one cub. I was convinced I had two sets of tracks, and I said maybe even a third one, definitely two. But anyway, you know, there was a leopard that had gone past that area last night as well. So yeah, who knows what went on last night, or perhaps even with the baboons before those two lionesses arrived. So, but yeah, it's just amazing being out here, and so exciting. Yes, oh yeah, and by the sounds of it, our colleagues have been having some really, really good sightings as well. We've been in and out of comms here a little bit this afternoon, probably a good thing in some ways. I'm going to finishing school. I've enrolled at finishing school, just so you know. You'll all be very pleased about that. Any sponsors? No, I'm just kidding. I haven't. No. We'll work on some issues. There's a koran. Look at this bird. Sorry, this is a difficult one. Hold on, yeah. Wait. Just get. Whoa. Well done, David. That's a northern black koran. Those of you who haven't seen one of those before, and very typically they'll always land behind a bush when you actually want to, because they've got this beautiful flight. You get the other one here that our colleagues get a lot in the Lowveld called a red-crested koran, or a suicide bird. It flies up and then just drops. This one's got this long arcing flight. This was actually a very short one, but normally got this long circular flight pattern, making this cluck, 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 sound like they could rust their wings, and then they come down very, very, very slowly with their legs dangling underneath them, and they land softly like it. But anyway, I can't even remember where I was. We're just going to keep the temperature's dropping very, very quickly now. We've put all our kit on, and but it's nice for aardvark. So maybe if we're very, very, very lucky, we'll find an aardvark. Hey, but what a great afternoon, eh? Yes, some good humor, some good lion baboon interaction, and it's just the best thing in the world.
It is the best thing in the world. Everything is the best thing in the world. I love everything out here. I'm sure Dylan does too. Now I have my spotlight out. I thought maybe we could see if there's a reptilian friend in any of the bushes here on Zoe's Road. Ah, okay. Some of you are asking about the Tswalu Thandi situation, if anything else had played out. Well, Tswalu did leave and she exited south on the southern boundary through the property, so she did not come back. When I left the sighting, the cub was still in the tree, but lower in the tree. He was starting to feel comfortable to come down, and Thandi was still there too. So it seems as if everybody is fine, and it was just a tense situation, but everybody is absolutely fine. And of course both of them are not there at the moment. They've moved off. And I don't think that Tswalu is such a threat that Thandi would have decided to run off. But maybe I'm not Thandi. So she could have felt that it was a threat and gone to torture it, but no tracks so far. Anyway, I'm going to keep on looking. Like I said, hopefully find a chameleon.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Here we go. Pretty sure it's a female. Let me just get a little bit forward. My fusiform face region is failing to help me identify this cat. Tswalu, isn't it? Pretty sure that's Tswalu. Can't be Tswalu, surely. So it's a 5'5" female. I think it's Tswalu.
Copy that. Compare the cat. Yeah, they're coming slowly.
Beautiful. I was looking down at the time, and Theo says, leopard. I'm going to have to call this in. Unfortunately, thank you, everybody. Fanwell and Mike, I've located Tswalu female leopard on Gallagher shortcut. Animal is static at the moment, just to the south of the first drainage line.
Very close to Gallagher shortcut.
And we're going to give credit for this to Rexon, who says, check Gallagher shortcut. Thank you, Rex. Beautiful. Marvellous way to end our day, our Sunday. There's an elephant feeding off towards the right-hand side here. And I must confess, I was quite relieved when I realised it wasn't Tlalamba, because I knew that the cat wouldn't immediately get up and move into thick bush and make life impossible. I do like Tswalu very much. Yeah, you can just hear the elephants going. I'm sure they're the same ones that Trishala had earlier. Everyone congratulating Rexon. Well, yes, and Theo, I suppose. I must confess that I had almost nothing to do with it other than driving the car, which most of you seem to have picked up on, and are therefore not congratulating me. I'll be okay. I do think that Theo deserves some credit for this. Now, we've been seeing a lot of leopards of late, which has been magnificent. And in case you're wondering who this cat is, she is Shidulu, obviously, and she is not related to the royal lineage, or certainly not very closely related to the royal lineage. And interestingly, took this particular territory from Shadow, and Shadow was Tandi's sister, littermate, and has now started her own lineage. And we've spent a lot of time with Kara over the last week and a half or so, and that's her daughter. And this particular cat was born near near Londolozi. Everyone is now congratulating Theo. Thank you, everybody. I'll continue to take the hit. Oh, well, thank you very much, everybody. You're praising my driving skills for conveying us safely to this position. Thank you. Well done. Ah, beautiful. What a satisfying way to end the Sunday. Now, Theo and I were just chatting about how Sunday-ish today felt, and that's probably because we're so programmed into it. And this is just the perfect way to end your Sunday. Atlanta Jewel, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think she does have very round eyes. I think she's got fairly triangular eyes at the sides, much more so than many other leopards that I know. She's lovely. They're all lovely, though, aren't they? He's watching the elephants. Alright, guys, we're going to let somebody else go in front of us to have a look. And Fanoti just learning how his immobilizer works. We're just going to let somebody else go and have a look.
Beautiful springbuck sighting with that soft backlight. This golden grass, or the silver colored grass, is actually called silky bushman's grass, and it really has got a soft silky feeling to it. But I'm just loving that backlight on them. Yo, it's a small, I wouldn't say smaller, it's probably 50 animals, 60 animals. Small in comparison to numbers that used to occur in southern Africa. Actually, I read an account just today by a chap that they on wagons, they estimated for about 58 kilometers, okay, in the central Karoo, and the entire time going along in an ox wagon for 58 kilometers, there were springbucks surrounding them the entire time. So what we see these days on any reserve, regardless of how big it is, are really remnants of these, what were nothing short of spectacular game densities. And we've seen that same pattern with everything. If you look at bison, or there's lots of examples. And it's very encouraging when you see reserves, when game numbers are starting to pick up, and that it's very important.
We are just going to have a glimpse of a big male leopard, but he's going to disappear. He's not very relaxed. However, I really think that it is the Shimungwe male. He's got quite a particular look on his face. I'm going to try and reverse and see if we can get another view, but I don't know. You can see very, very sketchy. So we actually came around on the other side. Apologies, I'm not looking into the camera. And we saw him from about 80 meters away, and he saw us, and he got up, and off he went. And we were very far away. We came in so slowly. We couldn't have come in any more cautiously, and just not happy at all. So I don't know why this cat is so skittish. Maybe it isn't Shimungwe, because I know him to be relaxed, but his tracks come from here. I don't know if it's the same leopard. It could be a different one, but I think it is. I think they look very similar. He normally comes up and sits on these rocks. We've had him a few times, but unfortunately I think that is the leopard sighting. So you can clearly see the difference between habituated leopards and leopards that are not exactly accustomed to vehicles. It is going to take a very, very long time to habituate the leopards here at Pridelands, just because we don't see them very often and regularly. Even if they were just short glimpses, you know, a couple of times a week, it would be great. Oh, that's so sad. It was Sebastian's first leopard here at Pridelands, but a beautiful big male nonetheless, and probably hiding down in the drainage line now. It's a kind of a perfect spot, especially if you're a bit on the nervous side. My heart was racing. Yeah, at least we got a glimpse, but you could just see how he shrunk his shoulders down as soon as he was finished drinking, and then that big leap over the dam walls, like he couldn't wait to get out of there. But it is what it is. At least it was a quick leopard sighting. What is really cool is that there were some students in camp. They're doing a night drive tonight, and they had sat down behind some logs, and they were the ones that actually called me. So they got to have an amazing leopard sighting on foot in the camp, and he wasn't perturbed by them at all. They kept down nice and low. They kept very, very quiet. It's quite windy now, so they were probably also downwind of him, which would have played a role in sort of, you know, hiding themselves. Very, very cool. But again, not an uncommon sight here at Ndlovu Dam. Not only do we see the elephants, but we also get to see the elusive cats.
This afternoon has been truly remarkable out here. And what we've seen, the landscapes, everything. There's actually a whole line of gemsbuck. You'll see they're following in from the back there. It's just, I mean, and that's the thing about a reserve like this, is just the total sum, the beauty, which is the animals, it's the plants, it's the insects, it's the geology, it's the sum total of the thing, and it's just, I mean, I can't get enough of that. And to be able to sit and share a sighting like this with you, without having to know how many hair follicles a gemsbuck has, or why is the face black and white, or how sharp and how long are the horns, or what's the difference between a male and a female, or what's their gestation, or, you know, why do the hooves go click, without having to know all that, just sit and appreciate the absolute sheer beauty of what we're seeing. There's a lot of value in that. Yeah, a little springbuck coming trotting past. He says, I also want some air time. Springbuck, you and me both. This one's actually moving across that big herd that crossed the road earlier. But what a backdrop, eh? So those lions, where we left the lions, just for those of you interested, they are in a straight line from where these gemsbuck are and the springbuck are about 1.2 kilometers. So they're actually not that far away. Let's get some hartebeest out here on the right. Quite difficult to see on that dune crest, David. I don't know if you can see silhouetted. There we go. So I know we're jumping around here, but look at those two big hartebeest bulls And I'm going on the length and thickness of those horns. Roshni has just asked, when will I pronk for you again? Well, that yeah, we can discuss that. We can negotiate on that point. Yeah, thank you, Roshni. Let's get that golden light, eh? What do you think, David? Not too bad, eh?
Beautiful.
For those of you interested in photography, always try different angles. You know, that's one thing, you know, you typically want to go for like full frontal light and that, but side lighting, backlighting works an absolute treat in certain situations, like this, for instance. So Sarah's just asked.
She says she loves the
Oh yes, yeah, the diversity of antelope out here is pretty remarkable. And the fun thing about this environment, you actually on the mix between areas like what you call the mesic savanna, which is the moister savannas, and these very dry, semi-arid savannas, and you get that mix between things like springbuck that we've just seen and impalas. We got both on the reserve, and it's very, very. And then you got things like roan antelope, they're typically like wet, moist areas, and gemsbuck. So you got a really nice mix. But yeah, all I can say is this afternoon has been interesting on a number of different points, but it's been really, really fun. Certainly I've enjoyed it at least, and I'd like to believe that most of you, or all of you, have as well. And if we can do that, then I'm very, very, very happy in just being able to share these incredible sightings with you. Wherever you are in the world, if you are somewhere in the forest of South America or wherever you are in your room, enjoy it, have an amazing evening, stay safe, and see us again tomorrow morning.